It's your boy Chad RoB. We back, baby. Hey, so this is the hashtag iAMWHOiAM podcast. This is episode 48.
Is it 48?
48, man.
I didn't even look that up on that list.
Hey, that's pretty consistent. I was hoping you remembered who the guy was.
I don't know. I thought it was Tory Hunter.
Tory Hunter.
I think that was 48.
That's 48.
I might have looked at the wrong one.
Yeah. Well, no, I think you're right, man. We may have to take a look at the list here in a minute.
I didn't get Magic 50 Singletary though.
Magic 50 gonna be crazy. To do something 50 times consistently, that's pretty. That's pretty cool.
A lot.
That's pretty cool, man. That's pretty cool, man. Well, introduce yourself, man. Let's go ahead and get started.
My name's Jason Gorkisch. I've known Chad. What has it been like 13 years?
Has it been 13 years? Yeah, I guess so.
Like
2007. Yeah.
Off and on. And
speaking of 13, man, the 13 streets, man. Boss Money Empire, man. They're doing really good things. I really want to send them a shout out, man. That's why I wore the shirt on the podcast, man. They're excellent brothers, man. They're young, they doing their thing, man, and they're not taking no for an answer, man. I love that. So y'all keep grinding, man. Shout out. But yeah, I didn't mean to cut y'all.
No, I'm glad to accidentally remind you about that.
Yeah.
No, it's like all of us people at this level gotta look out for people. Do what you can for each other. So
yeah, man.
Crazy world.
So funny story, man, with my introduction to this guy. So we get hired on at a corporation together, and they send us on a training trip. And
what's the worst that can happen?
Well, what's funny is before the training trip, I remember, probably don't remember this. You asked me, hey, man, you care if we split the mileage? Man, you give me the mileage, cut the mileage in half. And from that, this before I even knew this guy, man. I didn't know him from Adam. I didn't know him. I couldn't have pointed him out in the lineup.
Hey, man, let's go halvesies.
Yeah. So the reason why I say we're going half on the mileage is because I was driving my car, right? So I'm thinking to myself, is that normal? You know what I'm saying? I was like, what is he talking about, man? Why would I split the mileage and I'm driving my car? And, I'm trying to be like, well, yeah, I guess, you spending your time, whatever. Make a long story short.
I'm going there anyways, but he's going to pay me for the privilege of getting chauffeured.
So I'm talking to some people. I said, is that something y'all do, man? Do y'all split the mileage with the passenger? And everybody's like, no, man, what are you talking about? So that was my introduction to him. From then on, man, the whole way to
you miss 100%. You miss 100% of the shots you don't take.
Hey,
there's a chance he'd say yes, and it almost happened.
Well, I was like, at first I was like, no, and then I was like, well, man, maybe I'm being a dick, man.
Maybe this is how it's supposed to work.
And so I started asking questions. They like, no. I'm like, yeah, that's what I thought. No. But so from that point, man, like I said, we taking a long trip, man. I'm looking at this dude sideways all the time. But I learned, man, it's a great guy. Very genuine, man. He takes care of his family, man. He does his thing, man. He does his things in his own way. It may not be traditional or however you may do it or however I may do it or however anybody may do it, but it gets done and it gets done the right way. So, man, on that, man, I would really like to.
That.
No, man, that's dope, man. That's dope.
I knew Chad was going to be one of my friends when we were going to West Virginia and we both saw Lee's and we were like, man, I want some Lee's. They're like, me too. And we're like, just like when you're little kids
on
the
middle
playground.
of nowhere too.
Yeah, we're like, that Lee's has a buffet. That was way before KFC even thought to steal that. We were like,
oh man,
we're like, why is this the middle
of
the
night? We
even
hit the KFC up, and it was they gave me that the picture looked like a big sandwich, but then I get the sandwich. I paid like $13 for that junk, man. I was like, this is crazy, man. I ain't been to KFC since, man, which is crazy.
Stand your ground, man.
Yeah, I know, right? Yeah.
Never.
Yeah, man.
I forgot all about that.
That's crazy.
I will never eat KFC again.
I still haven't eaten it, man. I tried. I can't fool with them no more, man.
Nope.
I can't fool with them, man. So tell them a little bit about yourself, man. Where you from? What made you a professor of everything?
I don't know. I guess I was just that dude. Grew up in Michigan. And I know everybody here thinks it's snow all the time, but no, it's like, can you imagine 2 feet of snow? And then you're like, it has never been this cold. And then 6 months later, it's 90 degrees and humid, and you're like, it's never been this hot.
That's what's up.
So you just accept weather's going to do whatever it's going to do. But as far as where I grew up by Lake Michigan, not really a good part of town, kind of middle, but like about a block over, it starts really dropping off real quick. So it's one of those things. I think I kind of feel like people think, oh, the North's all kind of clean cut, unless you live on 8 Mile, then it's like it's filthy on 8 Mile.
8 Mile's terrible.
Don't
it's
live
the worst
there.
place ever.
But the rest of the state is okay.
You can rap though. You good
apparently. So yeah, like I always say too, it's just it's weird. But I moved down here because my hometown is like all the industry moved out. So it'd be like in Alcoa, if like Alcoa just packed up and it's like there's nothing left for jobs. And I was just like, it's a dead end. My mom had already moved down to Maryville, so I was like,
Oh, so she came first.
She came first. And I was like, you know what? There's nothing here to do anymore. And I mean, things money-wise in Michigan, where I was so bad that I asked my mom. She sold her house for $7,000 straight cash. Can you imagine? Because I know people are probably like, oh, come tax time, I'm going to go get me a house in Michigan.
Well, yeah, that's what I was just thinking. Why didn't you call me? Well, you didn't know me.
I didn't know you. I didn't know you.
$7,000.
But yeah, I had 3 bedrooms and a yard and a garage and two basement rooms that we put in. So it was like 5 bedrooms.
$7,000.
7,000.
Somebody's smiling right now like,
well, it's crazy. So it's like I said, now it's doing better, but they made it like a tourist town. So. So it's weird when I go home, this old punk music club where it's just all torn up and like punk acts would come through and play like people that weren't even signed to labels and stuff. Now that place is like a gourmet hamburger place. So it's like, when people talk about like the horrors of like gentrification and things that happen about things that grew up with. It's like I've kind of seen it. I'm an observer. I can kind of relate to a lot of people about a lot of things.
What's funny is in the movie Boys in the Hood, they were trying to tell us about gentrification, but none of us was paying attention. I'm talking about like black people, like like myself, like all of us that watched it, even white people that watched the movie. He was like, gentrification, that's what they're doing, blah blah. And everybody's like, gentrification.
Like, what is that? Who wants to live in here?
I never researched the term.
Nobody had any idea.
Never looked for it because I was a big word guy, and I never looked it up in a dictionary or nothing.
I think there's probably a sense of like it is so desolate in these areas. Who's gonna want what? Perfectly good white person's gonna want to throw money at these houses. And it's like, and then you see all these communities where it's like it just prices people out. Or places where like, hey, we want to put this Walmart in here, and Chad, we're gonna make an offer on your house, and if you don't take it, we're just gonna have the city take your house. That Walmart's going in there, whether your house is there or not.
And see, when I was young, my granddad used to tell me that they just give you this a large lump sum of money for this property. But as I've gotten older, that large lump sum of money is market value minus a percentage. So
and they're like, we are getting your property one way or another.
Yeah, that's crazy, man. That's crazy.
It's amazing all the stuff that like we've seen the signs for, but we didn't take it serious. We didn't know it was a thing.
Well, you don't take it serious, like you said, man. It's not even that you don't know it's a thing. You just can't relate.
You've never seen it, like something we've talked about before. I haven't seen this modeled, so I hear it happens places, but it's not going to happen here. I'm not going to sell my house.
Right. Yeah, man. It's interesting because especially with property, man. It's like you get one shot to get that. What is it? That loft house downtown. Like in my mind, I used to think that was passed down generation after generation after generation. But as I've gotten older, I've learned, well, somebody messed up on some money on something and had to get rid of it to not lose they backside. And and then a person comes up.
You always hear about like New York City with rent control places where it's like, oh, this old lady signed a lease in 1972 and they can't get her out of this building, and she's paying $150 a month, and we could get rid of that apartment for like $1,500 a month if we could get this old lady out.
And the old lady, man, I ain't
just
going,
like she's
I ain't
just
going for it. The 150 you said I signed.
It's like I signed it, and you let me go month to month.
And it says I can leave it to my kid. It's 150 a month. Wow, that's dope, man. That's dope, man. So with everything going on, man, out here in the world, and
is it even real anymore? See, my friend's wife and I have this conspiracy that
So talk to me, man.
that when David Bowie died in January of 2017.
Who is David Bowie? Because I'm thinking David Bowie for the Orlando Magic.
David Bowie,
I'm thinking David Bowie.
the musician.
Oh, okay.
The musician. He died January 2017. Everything's gone downhill since then. Not just downhill. Let me clarify that.
Okay.
Everything's gone weird. It's not all down. There are some ups.
Yeah.
But it's one of those things where like, I think reality broke when that dude died. Like, he apparently got in his spaceship and went back to whatever planet he was from, and just.
So do you think life is on other planets or time machines or exist now? Like, so in this space that we're in with everything going on, do you really think that like people can travel time, or manipulate time, or is there somebody that's programming it, or is it bots, or we bots, or what do you think, man?
Well, I mean, getting on to are there life on other planets, I think it's one of those things. Mathematically, there's probably millions of planets that are in the same distance from their sun that Earth is. So it's like, would we recognize it as life? It's like, maybe it's plants, maybe it's a robot, maybe it's, whatever. I mean, I think mathematically there's life out there. And I think the thing is...
Life, I mean, let me re-clarify. So life, like me and you talking like this. So I was watching a podcast one day, and they said every scenario has happened. So like, maybe this podcast, the camera was facing that way, we was in that corner.
Yeah.
Or like every possible
like a
scenario
multiverse
is happening. Yes.
I do kind of think that, because there are times where you're like, you kind of look at stuff, or you run into people, or like that deja vu feel. But as far as like with the life thing, it's just, I kind of think there is. And it's really interesting that the main thing I think that makes us feel like there aren't aliens is the Bible. Because it doesn't it doesn't say that God created anything else. No. So human ego just go, we're the top of the food chain.
But then it says don't add or subtract.
Yeah. And then even the Catholic Church came out with like two things, I think like in the early 2000s, where they said you can keep your faith and still believe there's aliens. Basically, they're like, there's nothing in the Bible that says God didn't also create aliens. So let me tell you a story, man. I'm a big Cinemax fan. So on my cable packs, we gotta have Cinemax, right? But anyway, so I was watching this this movie, right? It was at 3 or 4 in the morning. Was it Killer Clowns from Space?
Wasn't that? No, it wasn't that. But in this movie, that was interesting. But in this movie, he mad about something. But in this movie, there was a woman in this universe. And then there was a woman that, I guess, teleports or comes back to this universe and meets her, and they look the exact same. And they're the same person. And, of course, a lot of what happens in the movie. I ain't going to talk about that part of the movie. But I said all that to say, is that possible? Like, am I living over there? And then will we recognize it?
Well, you do.
Would our science be able to recognize that? Like, because like they say, the easiest way to hide something is in front of your face.
Yeah. I don't think anything's being hidden as far as like people are like, oh, we got alien bodies. I
don't even mean hidden like that. I mean like the universe hiding it from you.
I think the thing that stops us is the fact that we want to believe that science, what we know is what there is to know. That's all we know.
Yeah, I got you. I'm with you.
Like we're never going to learn anything new. And it's like, but if you think that, you're never going to learn something new.
Wow.
Like if you're like, I'm never going to get better at podcasting, then you're going to literally stay there. If you're like, I'm never going to get better at rapping or basketball or selling stuff, you're never going to, if you're like, that's as good as you get, then, you stop,
That's deep.
And then you get people who are like, well, why does that have to be that way? And it's like, we like to kill those people or, just discredit them because like, no, you're crazy.
You're crazy,
man. You're crazy. That's not how that happens.
No, that ain't how that works, man. That's deep, man. That's deep.
We know everything. It's 2020. We know everything there is to know. It's like, man, I was promised flying cars by now. I watched that Jetsons, man. They had flying cars. Where's my flying car?
Yeah. Well, all we got was the watch.
Yeah, you got to watch.
That's all we got. That's all we got. Man, so speaking on that, man, you sent a link to me on Facebook, man. I thought it was the dopest link ever, man. It was where it showed with all this Black Lives Matters and racism and whatever, man. You sent me a link where it showed Albert Einstein teaching black college kids. Mm-hmm. Man, I thought that was so cool because in my mind, Einstein was in the prejudice like black or whites hate blacks era. When I saw that, it was mind blowing that he was even in a room with black kids.
Well,
basically.
he also escaped from the Nazis because he wasn't one of the good ones.
So what race is he? Albert Einstein.
I think he was Jewish.
Okay.
So I think he just got out of everything.
Gotcha.
But again, so it's like he kind of had different views too, where it's like, well, people are people. And the thing is, like, I sent it to you because you don't know that's a thing until you see it. Right. Like, how many kids of color in the cities or whatever don't know that that's something they can be. It's like the link I sent you today about the Black Cowboys of Compton.
Yeah.
There's a horse riding club in Compton to get kids off the street. And apparently it's huge. And like this guy I was talking about, it never occurred to him that black cowboys helped make America. Because you don't think of that. You think John Wayne. You think white dudes, and whatnot. You don't think about like people of different races and the fact that everybody going west were people who didn't want to live in the East.
Well, I was watching an interview with Muhammad Ali, man, the best interview I've ever heard. And he said he was taught everything black is bad. And he goes into talking about Tarzan, how this white guy is dropped in the middle with a diaper on, and he can talk to the animals, but none of the black people that's been there for hundreds of centuries.
We've been here forever.
And we can understand.
God, if only
animals.
we were white, we could understand what the monkey's saying to us. It's like, that's true. Yeah. And it's like, he can swing from anything. He's the best swimmer. He can talk to this. He gets the
only girl that's there.
The only girl. It's just like, it's really, and it reinforces it. Like you said, you see so much subtle stuff. And not always subtle, but you see stuff where you're like, oh, I don't, kind of like we were saying too before, where it's like with black quarterbacks, it's like you'll always hear him say, well, he's really articulate and carries himself well. You don't hear him say that about Peyton Manning. You're like, and it's like if they
I watched a whole community go from Colts fans to Broncos fans as I'm telling them that they're going to be Broncos fans.
It's like how the Colts fans, how the Colts became the Ravens, where they just packed up overnight and just left town.
Which I mean, in basketball, I pick a player too, so that's hard to really
it's like when everybody was like, oh, we got to get rid of all our Cleveland crap because LeBron's in Miami.
Well, I'm a LA. I hate LA Lakers, but not now.
Yeah, and then LeBron's going to have the decision, so everybody's like, oh God, tell me what jersey I need to buy. Hurry. I need to know what bandwagon.
You know what, man? I like LeBron, but I really didn't like Miami, though. Not like I like this Lakers team. I don't know, man. With sports, man, I try not to get caught up in the logo.
Yeah.
But I'm a Bears fan to the heart, man. Just like you're a Michigan State fan.
Yeah, well, you know. That's just how it is. I mean, there's just some teams that are just horrible that everybody hates, though.
Right.
Yankees fans are just terrible people.
Oh, man. So, with all this coronavirus stuff, and for some reason I feel like it's about to get really bad with the temperature changes in the South especially. I don't know, in the North too, I would guess, because it gets freezing there. We were talking earlier about kind of like the Great Depression and how it affected people, and because basically as Americans, we live in like 2 checks behind, or maybe even 6 months worth of checks behind our actual income, and it's scary because I don't know for sure that we gonna be able to survive this next one, because like it's really gonna put people, like, you literally can't work from home because you're sick, in my opinion. Or what do you think?
Well, it's really weird. I read an interesting book. And even though it's a zombie book, it actually is more about, it could apply to like what we're going through with COVID, with anything where society kind of collapses. What we don't realize is that 70% of the jobs, 65 or 75% of the jobs are service jobs. So they're like McDonald's, they're the guy that changes your brakes, they're the guy at Walmart, there's all these things. So nobody knows how to fix anything. A lot of people have computer jobs or whatever. So it's like, if you have a job that you can move to work from home, well, that's great. But the thing is, then what's the company going to do with, you're going to find some workers are more productive at home and some aren't. Because everybody's got that coworker that's like, hey, help me with this question real quick.
Yeah.
I just want to check your brain and see if I'm thinking the same thing. And you accidentally do their work for them.
Yeah, I know, right?
It's like...
Shout out to y'all.
It's like, I've been that guy. I admit it. Where I'm like, I don't want to deal with this guy.
Yeah.
Oh, Chad will take care of this for you. And just like...
Yeah, I remember them days. Just good old days.
Dodge. But it was actually it was World War Z, not the crappy movie, but the book by Max Brooks. If you want to check it out, and it's chapter by chapter about a flu virus starting in China and how it ends up basically destroying the world. But it's some interesting stuff. But he's smart. He's actually Mel Brooks' son. But he's smart.
So help me know who Mel Brooks is.
Blazing Saddles.
Okay.
You're like, oh, say no more.
Yeah, no doubt.
Which he also wrote that because he was under contract and had to make a movie. And they were like, oh, we don't want this movie, so just write whatever script. So he and Richard Pryor and whoever else wrote Blazing Saddles because they're like, they're never going to make this. And then the studio came in and was like, hey, about that movie you were writing for us. And they're like, oh, yeah, you're never going to be able to show you. You certainly couldn't show it now.
Oh, no. No.
For many,
So what do you think about this whole sensitive thing, man? Like, I mean, like, everybody's so sensitive. Like, I'll give you an example, man. Like, this may be a terrible example.
I don't know.
I'm not even going to use this as an example. So you remember that time in West Virginia where I come to the car and there's I guess she was a lock monster, whatever you call it.
Lot lizard?
A lock lizard, yeah. I remember like I guess the guy in the 18-wheeler kicked her out. And I don't know why I left my car door unlocked or
That's
if I
probably
even let my car door
that's
unlocked.
true.
You know what I'm saying? But we're coming out of training and I get in the car and there's a woman in the back seat. And I'm looking at it and I'm tripping. And she's like, you remember me from last night? And I'm like, last night? And I started thinking, like, really?
Where was I last night?
I said, no, I don't. You need to get out the whip, And I said all that to say, like, we as humans, we put ourselves in the position that we're in, whether or not we believe it.
Yeah.
Whether you taking a truck city to city, town to town until you're not welcome company, or whether you working a job you hate every day, every single day. Like another example I can give as far as putting yourself in a situation, man. I was working a job and I hated it for the reason there was no progression in it. Like that's the reason why I hated it. I hit a ceiling. I'm bending over trying to come into place, and I grew out of it. And I used to always wish, man, if I just had the job that I did X, Y, and Z. If I just had a job where X, Y, and Z is, because I want to be a bodybuilder, right? So I'm like, if I could just sit down, eat my meals, drink my water on time every day, sit down, and just blah, blah, blah. And then I get that job, and I realize it's not for me. But I had a friend of mine come to me and say, hey, you complaining about this job, but I remember this is exactly what you said you wanted. So then I had to think, ding. I was like, oh, let me get to work and try to attempt to do everything I said I would do.
I think that's the thing, though. It's like as you're living it, you lose sight of stuff around you.
Is that what it is?
I think so. Once you settle into that groove or whatever, you're like, okay, now I'm on a routine. You forget about this, and then you have new problems. We're like, oh, I got this come up. That's going to mess up my routine. I'm going to do this. Oh, I got it. Whatever it ends up being.
So is routine Americans, I can only speak for America, America's Achilles heel?
I think that it breeds laziness. Like there's a level where having a routine teaches you ways, like shortcuts to be more efficient. Like when we used to work together, like, hey, we'll do this way. I know this is how they teach us, but you know what? If we rearrange these steps, it's going to go much smoother and we can go through quicker on certain days, like when a new product comes out or whatever. Like, here's how we're going to do it. But then it's like if you start doing it for so long, you're like, oh, this is the worst. It's always, we always think we always talk about like the good old days. And it's like the good old days were horrible. People forget that, though, because it's like you forget the daily grind, but you remember, man, like, oh, I used to hang out with Chad all the time. Like, we'd go to lunch, we'd go do whatever, and it's like, It's like, no. It's like, yeah, but there's a lot of crap that we dealt with. Both like coworkers, bosses, people coming in. Dang. It's like,
so it's kind of like you were talking about earlier with like there's a what happened, and there's a copy of it, and there's what your brain accesses.
They did like some studies where if you remember something, like when I think about the first time I met you, I'm not remembering that event. I'm remembering the last time that I thought of it. So it's kind of like a filing cabinet. Like you pull it out and I'm like, oh, this is when Chad and I were hanging out. I'll make a copy of it. Okay, now I file it in a different day. So I'm no longer going to that first copy. I'm going to the most recent copy. That's what they think. And that's why they say, like, eyewitnesses are the worst form of evidence. And it's like we make a lot of do, again, with race of going, well, as a black guy and he was this tall and like I think he was like this size, but they've also done studies where it's not just a racial thing, like people like black people can't pick out different Asians can't pick out different white people because our brain doesn't like process seeing them, I guess.
I guess it's way. Like where people say like all black people look the same, all white people look the same, all Asians look the same, all Puerto Rican look, yeah.
Like I can tell you if he was fat, skinny, tall, short, but I can't tell you like you get in the face. And I think also too in America we don't look at people's faces or their eyes, like you just don't, you're like, man, I don't want to know these people. I want to just move on.
Yeah, no doubt.
Like, just give me my burger. I'm ready to go on, man.
Yeah,
So
right. Man, that's deep, man. That's deep because I don't know, man. I try my best not to get caught up in the, what they call it, the hustle and bustle. What they call that? The daily grind. What do they call that? It's a saying for it. I can't think of nothing.
You'll think about it 10 o'clock tonight. You'll
and
like,
man. And I hit you up like,
what's
that's
that called?
The hustle and bustle, I would assume. But it happens, man, and it's a struggle, man. But like you said, man, you gotta kind of break outside of that to do something new. And a lot of times, the universe. What I'm learning is the universe gives you what you're asking for when you're ready for it.
Well, I'd seen it in Neil Gaiman's Sandman book, and one of the quotes that always stuck with me is, "The price of getting what you want is getting what you once wanted." So you get what you want, just not when you're ready for it. Like you've already moved on.
Just not when you want it.
Yep. Well, like, oh, I want to have X, Y, Z, like you were saying with your routine. Well, now I've got it, but I'm miserable with it. It's like, but you've moved on from when you made that wish, kind of. You're in a different place because you're like, that's probably not going to happen.
Well, it's like bodybuilding, man. People look at me like, man, you've gotten you big, man, blah, blah, blah. I'm thinking to myself, well, no, I'm not. But at this point, I don't really, it's not a focus anymore. It's not like priority number one anymore.
I personally, from an outsider view, would think also that's a case of we have images of what we think we look like.
Oh.
And so they're seeing you and you're like, damn, Chad's ripped. But you're like, I'm no Schwarzenegger.
No.
And that's where or wherever I'm trying to go.
Which I'll never be because I'm not Schwarzenegger.
Yeah. But the thing is, you're like, I'm not getting big enough fast enough. Which I think then also then gets people into using steroids and other crap. Because you're like, I'm not getting it's like a body dysmorphia where you don't feel you look the way you feel.
Yeah, that's a whole nother conversation.
Yeah.
Man. You can take that so many ways because you're never gonna get anything quick enough, whether it's your body, your money, now there is always an exception to the rule, and that's where people get caught up in. They're so worried about the exception that they're scared to worry about the hustle. Because a lot of people think, just because this person posted one video, got 1 million views, 1 million likes.
How many thousands of videos did he post that nobody even knew?
Well, see, and the thing is, though, no one's telling the truth, or if they are, no one's thinking about it logically. Because a lot of times, even with bodybuilding, these YouTube stuff, podcasting, people are saying, "Hey, I posted a video of my client curling. I got 600,000 views, so I did another one. I got 600,000 views, so I did another one. Now I'm rich."
Yeah.
That's not you. That's the exception.
Yeah.
And even if it's true or false, like Ronnie Coleman. Ronnie Coleman said, I use Ronnie Coleman. Ronnie Coleman said, "Hey man, I did my first bodybuilding show. I got second, but the guy that won was on steroids and he got disqualified. And then I was the one, and I was able to get my pro card. I won that show. That's the exception.
Yeah.
That's not the
then
rule.
You also then will have people look at him and go, well, did you really win, though? If they had to disqualify somebody after the fact.
That's true. But
it's
then
like,
but then you win the second show.
Yeah. Then,
yeah. And I can use a better example with bodybuilding. Phil Heath said, hey, man, I ate fish and tuna for however 6 months or 3 months before the show. I won my first show, then I won another show. Now I'm Mr. Olympia.
Well, I think that goes on to something else though that we see.
Is that the older you get, the better you were syndrome? Is that what that is?
Maybe. I think also though there's a thing with like in every aspect of life called gatekeeping, where this person's not good enough. We need to keep those kind of people out. Whatever it is, we're like. We could talk about when, salespeople we worked with at our previous experience together.
You can quit. We can quit talking about that.
Where it's like, you're like, well, that person's only hitting their numbers because they did this.
Yeah.
They're doing this underhand crap.
Yeah, they're cheating.
I'm really the better person.
Yeah. I choose to listen to their problems the whole time, and
you're like, I'm trying to get repeat business or do whatever.
Yeah, I'm trying to be a good guy.
And this person's just like, how can I grind this stuff out?
Yeah.
Like, how can I hit my numbers and just be done?
Yeah.
Or you see stuff where like, let's say, oh well, you're not the right kind of Bears fan. Like, if you'd been a Bears fan, you would have liked them, through, all the Rex Grossman Unleash the Dragon. Yeah, exactly. But there's plenty of people being a Cubs fan, where I was like, it's reverse bandwagoning.
Yeah.
Where it's like. It became they used to be popular for being losers, for constantly losing, blowing it, whatever. And then it's like they won, and I feel like they lost fans by winning the World Series because there's no longer like a mystique to it.
Well, you remember the Seahawks? You saw Seahawks jerseys there for a few years, and then they disappeared.
And nobody's like, Seahawks? I don't know.
Yeah.
It's like we're just waiting for them Browns jerseys to come out.
What you said, man. What you said, man. So everybody come on the podcast, man. I gotta know it, man. And you know what it is, man. I'm sure. See, he's one of the few that actually watches the podcast, man, which is really dope, man, to me. So you know the question I'm about to ask, man. Top 5.
I prepared.
Okay.
I'm not sure it's good.
Rappers of all time.
Now some of it might spawn some other conversations, so we'll kind of go one at a time.
And then 1 is the best.
1 is the best.
And 5 is the least.
I couldn't figure out how to put those in order when I was typing it out, so I'm going to have to read backwards.
Okay.
So, and I can guarantee you, hand to God, my number 5 pick, nobody else would say.
So who's number 5? Let's start from 5.
Insane Clown Posse.
Oh, that's a good one. That's a good
one.
And
I had take them, being from Michigan.
Yeah, they used to fool with 666 Mafia a lot.
But also for some other reasons, and I'm gonna go through my. This was the longest section I wrote of it, so I've obviously been thinking about this ever since you said I might be on the podcast.
Hey, that's what's up, man. Let's hear.
I feel like there's probably a decent amount of good enough white rappers out there. I mean, it's like you think about like Third Base. It's like nobody talks about Third Base from back in the day.
I remember them, but I can't remember any of their songs.
And it's like. Gasface? You don't remember Gasface?
I got it. What's the tune?
You'll look it up later.
Yeah, I'll look it up later.
So, but then you start getting to the Elvis commercialism stuff like Vanilla Ice.
I like Vanilla Ice. He's my number 2 greatest white rappers of all time. Vanilla Ice. That's a whole nother conversation.
That's a big
he's number 2
qualifier put on there, like going for the white guy.
He's number 2.
But so like the thing is, it's like he's like corny. So it's like. This was the other thing I wrote. It's like the reverse of the real world, I feel like, with the rap game.
Okay.
Where it's probably the only time where a white guy is going to have to be twice as good as a black guy to make it.
You're talking about rap?
In rap.
Oh, yeah,
yes.
for sure.
In the other world, like white guys, as a white guy, we get the pass on everything.
Yeah, like look at Larry Bird. Joking.
Oh, there's some people are going to fight you about that.
That's a joke.
That's no Bill Laimbeer joke. Yeah, he will fight you though.
Yeah, he would.
He'll fight anybody.
His fans would too.
Yep. Well, it's no like Ron Artest interactive fan experience,
right.
But so, anyways, again, going that it's like especially if they're trying to be authentic and not be corny and not cash in.
I'm with you.
They got to be twice as good,
yeah,
which it gets later on to my list. And like I said, I don't feel like ICP really is like, hey, we found a gimmick that's going to get us rich. That gimmick is going to get nobody paid.
Yeah, no, they did. They were themselves.
But
sure.
there are a couple schlubby white dudes from Detroit who love rap, Fago,
Oh, they're from Detroit. I did
and
not know
professional
that.
wrestling.
I
Yeah,
did
they
not
used to
know
have
that.
problems with Eminem apparently saying, hey, Eminem's coming to our show. Like back in the day,
never knew that.
apparently.
Learn something new every day.
They found a niche with people that didn't fit in anywhere, and people like you don't even look at that twice, like the dude mopping the floor or anything. It's crazy that it was enough that the FBI declared him a gang threat. Did you not see that?
No, I did
Yeah,
not.
juggalos are on the FBI watch list for gang activity. So now the other useless fact, and it might be useful to some people.
Right.
Apparently, juggalo makeup can throw off facial identification, facial recognition, because of it can't recognize the curves of your face.
Seriously?
Yeah.
Wow.
So the more you know. I mean, from the least of people, like you get all these science breakthroughs. So.
Wow.
And then, like I said, that was like 2011 that they were declared, 2008, 2011, somewhere that they're gangs. But like I said, to me, also one of the best lyrics I've ever heard is from homies sticking together like zippers on a Michael Jackson Beat It jacket.
Only sticking together like zippers on a Michael Jackson Beat It jacket. Yes, that's all.
That's my deep
I gotta
thought
hit a
for the
beat
day.
too. I gotta hit a beat too.
Yeah. So, like I said, this was tough for me to do because I have a lot of people, and I've seen it on your podcast.
ICP was a good one, man. That's a good one. That's
Yeah.
that's a new one.
Where three and four, it's like there's so many people that I love one song of, or
Yeah, 4 was tough for me too.
Yeah.
1, 2, 3 is pretty solid.
One and two, I had no doubts from the get go.
Okay.
1, 2, and 5. 1, 2, and 5, I knew from the get go. Those were
and that's
mine.
interesting that you can skip over 3 and 4. To
3 and
put
4,
5.
I was like, there's so many people. So number 4, I'm gonna go with Public Enemy.
Okay, that's a good one. Yeah,
It's old, and again, like I said, I'm also more substance than Flash, and I don't feel
they were all substance, no Flash.
They're like,
I mean, their beats, in my opinion, were trash, and I need to go back and listen to.
No,
it.
I think you're right. I think there's a lot of beats from back in that day that are trash.
Yeah.
And it's like I feel like people were still figuring out what hip hop and rap could be.
Right.
Like they didn't realize, hey, we can make something more mellow that just you can just relax and go with.
Right.
Like we have to have something that's like got a set beat, and we're going on the beats to it.
Gotcha.
So number 3, this is probably another one that's probably like out there because I don't think in the same way everybody else does. De La Soul.
Wow, that's
Now, it's like I said, with 3s and 4s, the toughest part slotting those in was I have so many rappers and rap acts and stuff, or things with raps in them, that when I come up on like my player, I don't hit skip. I never hit skip on De La Soul. I never hit it on Feel Good by Gorillaz.
Wow.
With their verses.
Wow.
Like never. And like I said, it's one of those things too where it was so different when Feel Good came out that I was like, wait a minute, that's De La Soul? I was like, nah, I was like, this is no, roller skating song.
A lot of people sleep on them, man. Like they had that one commercial anthem that kind of got that one album. So it was a Blue album, I believe.
I always go back to Me, Myself, and I.
Yeah, that's the song I'm talking about, man. It was a hit. It was a smash.
And like I said, that's one of those songs where you're like, people probably don't take it serious because there's like other more serious rappers or whatever.
Right.
Or you're like, man, it's kind of corny because it's kind of got this like, let's go roller skating kind of sound to it. We're like, I'm just gonna pedal my bike.
And
down
that's
the
where I
block.
remember skating to a Skate Town, USA. Like it's me, myself, and I. You know what I'm saying?
Yep.
Yeah. That's a good one.
So now number 2 should be even less of a surprise. Again, Michigan, Eminem. I'm giving him number 2.
That's not a surprise.
No,
It's
a
a surprise that he's number 2.
Yeah.
Yeah, that is a surprise.
So, like I said, it's like, to me, with Eminem, it's like, it's a guy with talent, but like we were also talking about, where would Eminem be without Dre? Where would Dre be without Eminem? So it's really one of those things because, and like you said, My Name Is, he put something out there where he's like, you remember it.
That's probably
it sticks.
the greatest introduction song
you're always like,
ever.
oh, Slim Shady. And the thing is also, and then he's branched out. Like I said, love the way you lie. I love that. Where it's just like, hey, I'm just fed up. I promise I'm not going to punch you. Look, I'm such a good guy. I punched the wall. And it's like, that's not necessarily making things better. But the other thing I was thinking about, too, is Stan.
That's the best song.
Stan.
That's in my top... I'm gonna say top 10 songs of all time, and it ain't 8, 9, 10 either.
And it's like you have that moment too where he had his controversy about the homophobia stuff, the VMAs, and Elton John and him, and apparently they're
that's what that was.
Yep.
That song.
Yep. Well, no, that's why he came out to play it, but the controversy was happening at the same time because he was misogynist, like he just hated everybody.
Well,
so that was kind of like their peace thing was where he replaced Dido with Elton John. Well, kind of as a show of like, hey, look, we're cool. Like, I can grow as a person. Yeah. Now, the other thing that's interesting too, like, and again, what it goes into why he's number 2 is Stan has become an online slang for people who are fans about stuff. People are like, oh man, I'm such a Lakers stan, and you're like, well, I don't hope you're not putting anybody in like trunks and shit and driving them off the bridge, but
so so you just gave me an alley-oop to something I said I was going to talk about on the podcast. So with the work I do now, I met someone over the phone. So I'll give you an example. When I worked, Cedric was probably the first black guy I'd ever worked with in this area. Yeah. In a long time. Yeah. So when I met him, I was like, wow, it's a black guy. You know what I'm saying? Yeah. Every time I see a black guy when I work with him, not that I'm racist, but it's like, yeah, wow, that's cool.
And that's been my experience. I've seen like other people on podcasts or videos, like celebrities, they're like, being the black guy on the lot in Paramount or wherever, they're like, oh, I see the black dude emptying the garbage can. We're like,
he's just like, because, what up? Yeah.
It's like, I'm the guy making millions and you're the dude, but we are essentially together,
Well, we're not, I wouldn't say together, but it's like, oh, somebody that's not
got the same experience as I do.
Like every room I walk in, I'm probably going to be the only black dude in it in my day-to-day life. Yeah. But anyway, so make a long story short. How can I say this? So we chopping it up, man. I don't know if I give off the excitement that I'm talking to a black guy over the phone and how this person takes it, but it basically,
I don't know him like that more than beyond that fact.
Exactly. So as we chopping it up, man, of course, he's like, hey, man, you got social media? I'm like, of course, man, I'm everywhere, blah, blah. Because I don't talk about the podcast because I'm still working for someone, and I don't want any kind of, not correlation, but any type of involvement or whatever. I don't want no one to mistake anything I say for something of being what they think. You see what I'm saying? So I try to keep that separate. This is personal life. Work is work life. So anyway, so he asked for that. So he realized I have a podcast. Boom, boom, boom. Starts liking pics on my social media, and I noticed some pics likes this with my shirt off. And I'm like, I ain't thinking about it. I was like, well, I'm a bodybuilder, so that's no,
Yeah, bodybuilders like bodybuilder pictures. Yeah, there's nothing weird about that.
You remember I used to sit in the back at our job, and all I would watch is shirts with people with their shirt off, lifting weights and stuff, so that ain't nothing. But then I get a smiley face emoji in my DM. A smiley face emoji.
Yeah.
What? So would that throw you off?
Random emojis of any kind throw me off.
From a dude or from a girl or a dude?
Well, like I said, and that's the thing. Like when you're the sender, you don't think anything of it. You don't think about any kind of message that you send to somebody. Because you're like, oh, well, this is funny. I'm going to send this. And then they're like, well, what the fuck do you mean by that? Like, kind of like, oh, I didn't know you were going to get offended. But
okay.
But like I said, with his, he might be like, he might have been responding to something from like 5 minutes ago or something else.
So I took it right. So I didn't think nothing about it.
You're like, I'm just going to let that slide. Maybe people respond to the wrong thing all the time.
Smiley face is a smiley face.
Sometimes my mom sends me texts like, that fucking Jason, I hate him. And I'm like, you sent this to the wrong person.
Yeah.
It's like, oops, no bad.
So, okay, so I'm not wrong. So I didn't think nothing about it. And, couple hours go by, not even days. A couple hours go by, I get a picture of my foot in my inbox. It's got some J's on. You know, and so again, I didn't think nothing about it. I was like, "Oh, you a sneakerhead?"
Yeah.
No.
No.
What size shoe you wear? Oh.
Whoa, hi. No. No.
So now I'm like, now I'm like, whoa.
I'm not that hard up on my hustle yet. You know, like
never. Well, I mean, I don't know. I never say never.
Wait till you end up like those old dudes in Trading Places. You know?
Nah, even then.
Damn it, Mortimer.
It'd have to be something. I don't even know what it could be. It couldn't happen, I guess.
It's like, just kill me now.
Yeah, just, whatever. But anyway, make a long story short, I'm getting pursued by a gentleman, man. And it threw me off, man, because that's never happened to me, man.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't know how I feel about it, man. So based on what you said about the stand thing, and I didn't even take it that way, it's a weird feeling because I remember in that song, he says, what's this stuff you talk about us wanting to be together?
Yeah. And it's all shit that he didn't get. Like, oh, hey, sorry I didn't write you back about this. You know, and it's like by then, Stan's flown off the handle. He's murdered shit. He's just like, it's like, oh, hey, man, sorry. I didn't realize that was you backstage. Or I would have said, hey, I wouldn't have rushed off as quick. Like, like I just got this letter. You know, and that's, again, a lot can happen in a short amount of time with social media or instant messages.
Right.
And it's like you think about stuff where some people profit on it. I think about, like, the Jenny Jones talk show she had where it's like, oh, hey, we're gonna bring you on, like, Chad, to show you your secret crush, and they make you think it's some woman, and then it's like a coworker comes out, that dude snapped and killed the dude.
Well, yeah, and that's what I'm saying. So like with this, man, so to cut it off and get you back on your list, man, I'm like, hey, man, because at this point I realize what it is. And I'm like, hey, man, you need to just text me, you got my number. And he's like, no, we need to keep it here. Well, no, actually, before that, rewind. You know, I go silent then. I don't respond.
Yeah,
I don't say nothing. I just quit. Nah, we done with this conversation. And I'm trying to be professional and be nice and be, courteous. And, I still think he's a cool dude, whatever. But it's like, and then, he gets that pain. You ever hit on a girl at work? You're like, oh, they quit responding.
Oh, shit.
Oh, I'm about to get fired. And I felt that through the phone. So, and I hit him back, because he was like, everything good. But I said, no, it's all good.
Excellent.
It's all good.
I mean, this conversation, we're good. We're just.
But then he pursues again, goes back into it. I said, look, man, just shoot a text on my phone.
Yeah.
I'm not about to be inboxing with no grown man.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Basically,
yeah.
Trying to keep it professional and courteous. But like, look, text my phone. You can text me anytime. Wife home. Side chick home, whoever home,
yeah.
You can text me anytime.
Like,
there is no concern here.
This is something you need to be crystal clear about.
Yeah, like trust me, it ain't that.
But then
it's
party. Like you also get the thing where it's like I think men are more aware too of like, oh shit, have I been doing this to women the whole time? Like
that's where I was going.
Have I been?
And
this
that's
dude?
Where I was going with
like,
it.
Have I not? When she stopped talking to me, did I?
And that's
ever
where
get
I
the
was
sign?
going with it, man. And that's where I was going with it. I was like, man, I don't want to be that guy ever again.
Yeah, like oh shit, this is creepy.
Yeah, that is like I understand.
Especially you think of women being like tend to be smaller. She's gonna feel super threatened.
Yeah, because I never felt threatened, but I felt uncomfortable though. Like, look, man, like. No is no.
Like
no is
no. Like I don't want to just. I don't want to be that dude that has to be like going snitch or whatever. But you need to stop sending me.
But
this.
I tell you what, you send me one of them,
like
them cucumber pics, and then hey, I'm snitching.
Like yeah, exactly.
I'm telling. I ain't even no tattletale, but I'm telling.
Eggplant, peach, raindrop, umbrella. That shit's gotta go.
Yeah,
that's out.
Well, I'm telling. I'm like this. Hey. Yeah, I'm telling, man.
Now,
so yeah,
again,
man,
going
cool,
as far as weird situations like that, I go back to first time I ever moved out. Like my friend and I moved into a really large 2-bedroom apartment in Grand Rapids, Michigan. It was he and I, and these were people that he knew. He knew, like, there's this gay guy there that lived there, and there was like a couple, a man and a woman that lived there. At different points, there ended up being 7 of us in a 2-bedroom apartment.
Wow.
I couldn't find a job. Most of them worked 3rd shift. The woman that was in a relationship worked 2nd shift.
Wow.
So she'd come home, and she and I would hang out and just bake cookies and do whatever.
That's what's up.
Again, going back to something we discussed before, I am oblivious when people are interested in me. So the whole time I lived there, I never knew that she wanted it.
Oh yeah, he
Never knew until I moved out, and they're like, "Did you not know?" And I'm like, "No." But tying it back to this, like the gay dude, like his boyfriend would come over to hang out. Cool dude, whatever. And he was just like, "Hey," one day he was like, "I just want you to know, you're the hottest dude I've ever seen." And I'm like, "Cool, thanks. You know I'm not gay, right?" And he's like, "Yeah, I know." He's like, "I just had to tell you." I'm like, "Okay, cool." And we just went back to being friends. Yeah, now, that might be the exception. Other people might, again, lose their shit and beat him up or him beat me up over it.
And that's the thing, man. Like 10 years ago, this would have happened. It would have been a different me. 5 years ago, it would have been a different me. 15 years ago, 20 years ago. But now it's like, no, I accept people for who they are. Your decisions are your decisions. Yeah. But at the end of the day, once, no is no.
Yeah, exactly.
No is no.
And that's the thing. People just need to communicate about stuff, which ties
people
back
need
into
to communicate,
which goes back again to other sensitivity things of like.
And that's what you can't tell somebody, because I felt uncomfortable being like, "Look, dog, I like ass and titties."
Yeah.
And not men's asses.
No.
Like women's asses with the little pink little drawers in between the crack. You know what I'm saying? I like asses, women's asses, and titties.
Yep.
Like, and there's no other there's no exception to the rule.
There's no wiggle room on this.
I don't care what you bring into the table.
I did not accidentally fill in a different bubble on the multi-choice thing.
I don't care what you got access to. I don't care what you can do for me.
Nope.
It don't even matter. We ain't even got to get to there. I don't care what you compliment on. I don't care what's big, what's small. On me, it doesn't matter.
Don't be stealth pitching shit in my shoes at me that's like.
He said, I didn't even go on. It was a long. He sent pictures of his shoe.
Told
me how big my shoe was, and it's just like, wow, man. Like, and that's how I said. And this kept on going on when I wasn't responding, man. It was just so uncomfortable. But anyway, to get back to your top 5, man, who you got at number 1?
Number 1 is NWA. I gotta go.
How did I know that? How did
because
I
know look
that?
like that kind of dude? Is that what you're saying? You're gonna profile me?
No. How did I know that?
See, here's the thing.
So I'm gonna cut you off for a second, just because you don't know who I'm talking about, and he was in NWA, the guy we couldn't think of his name earlier.
Okay.
So
you now remember it?
Nah, I still don't remember it.
No.
That's what's crazy, man. I still don't remember it.
It's one of those things where it's like you can be like, you're like, I can see all of them, but then you're like. And it's like you're like, I'm gonna name them. It's like naming the 7 dwarves. You're like, there's like Sleepy, Dopey, Doc, Bashful, Chad. You're just like, I don't remember them, man. You'll think of it tonight. But my big thing is, again, talking about somebody that like a thing that's, cultural impact. And again, we talked about how things like, where would Dre be if he didn't have everybody else? Where would Eminem be without Dre? Where would Ice Cube be without it? Like, could Ice Cube have ever been a single rapper by himself back in the day? Which then would be like, would it give him the possibility to sell out and do like Disney movies and stuff? Because I'm like, I grew up, I firmly would not have been surprised to see like Ice Cube go out like Tupac. Or Biggie. That's the narrative I felt they created.
Right.
This is how we get our cash. Is like, we're talented, but we're going to sell this hard image that kids in Des Moines have never seen before. And all of a sudden you got
kind of like that movie with Chris Rock.
CB4?
CB4. Yeah.
So it's like, I can remember all kinds of stuff. I can't tell you what I had for lunch yesterday.
Oh, wow.
But like I said, the thing is, it's like, to me, when you talk about NWA, for me, you talk straight out of Compton, obviously. Hard. It's what they're living. People shooting up stuff. Just doing whatever because life's short and fragile. And then you have Express Yourself, which I think a lot of people sleep on and don't ever give any credibility to. I mean, maybe it's because it's too soft or whatever, or didn't get enough play. But it's like, it's really about like what you could be and like what you should be. Where he's like, I put on my show and I go back to doing what I do.
Yeah, don't mind me. I got to think of that guy's name because it's going to drive me nuts, man.
But it's like, I can still clear as day remember those 2 videos on MTV, and it's like, I'm
going to feel like a jerk too when I get it.
Yeah. Like,
oh my God. But Gary, you go ahead.
Yeah. Like I said, it's just weird though. It's like you think about, what kind of an impact. There was a guy online who went through the hassle of figuring out what day Ice Cube was talking about he had a good day on. He tracked it down to an actual date because he's like,
seriously?
You had to have a day that the Lakers beat the Supersonics.
Okay.
He's like, it had
so
to
that
be,
would narrow it down.
and he's like, and it had to be a day that LA didn't have smog, and he's like went through all these steps, and I'm like, man, I don't know. I can't get over the fact he didn't want to eat any bacon in the morning. That's where I got to draw the line on that song.
know,
That's
right?
No, I'd be like, Mama, give me doubles.
Yeah, give me doubles.
Skip the eggs. Give me the bacon.
Yeah.
You know, but
it's the DOC.
like I said, it's like people take this stuff super serious.
Yeah.
Which kind of goes back into the stands thing and something I was saying before about people in this reality picking sides about stuff.
Well, yeah.
You
Everybody, we're in a society, and by the way, the guy's name is the DOC. We're in a society
like,
where
that guy.
Yeah, I know, right?
We're like, don't they already have a doctor though?
Yeah, I know, right?
Do they really need
Yeah, I
him?
know, right? Yeah,
that's why they washed him out of the picture.
Yeah,
Just
exactly.
like Photoshop. Just
exactly. No, that was Arabian Prince, and it's crazy. I can remember his name, but I can't remember the DOC, which is wild to me. But yeah, it just go back to we're in a society where everybody's opinion matters, everybody's feelings matter. So. And that explains too back to the sexism thing, man. Women felt like they could not say no. I read a post on Facebook the other day but the job used to teach this, man. They said if a person says no, you just haven't built enough value.
Mm-hmm. Well,
and
also, we're brought up as men that like you need to just double down, whether it's bodybuilding or whether it's like Hollywood has a whole industry with their romantic comedies that are about the man getting the woman at the end because he wore her down because she'd keep saying no, and he's like, no, just hang on, you'll change your mind and want to be with me.
And that was all again, them late 80s movies.
If you want to talk about corporate
90s
stuff instead of what you brought up, Russell Simmons and all this shit, and it's like if the woman gives in to him, she's a hoe that was just trying to get a job. If she raises hell, it's like she don't appreciate what all he's done for the community at large. And then you get into the thing like an article I was reading about when I think it was he went on the Breakfast Club or whatever.
Yeah.
And they just completely gave him a pass on all these allegations. Didn't even bring it up. It's like, well, if you want to be journalists, you got to push on this. And then, yeah, there's consequences that he's not going to let anybody related to him come on your show.
But yeah, man, it's crazy, man, because I saw a comedian one time, D-Ray. He said, man, I don't mess with any women that don't want me. Mm-hmm. So there's never any confusion. And ever since I've heard that, I live by that. You know, if a woman doesn't want me, then there's no pursuing women anymore till I'm gone from this earth because it's not worth it.
It's kind of like, well, let me just leave my business card here. Like, hey, I'm interested in you as a person, talking to ladies or whatever. Like, if you want, if you tell me what you want from this, if you want anything at all, and we'll go from there.
Yeah.
But I'm not going to pursue you.
You can't, man. You can't because pursuing now, like I told you, I felt uncomfortable getting pursued. So I can only imagine a woman.
I'll tell you kind of an interesting story I kind of laugh about too. And it's like, I can build great rapport with strippers.
That's really not surprising.
Well, here's the thing though, like to the point they hang out with me when they're on their off time. Like they would rather hang out with me than go make money. But the thing is, I approach it as like they're just a person working a job. Like I'll just talk to them. I had a stripper dancing for me while she and I were talking about Russian politics. And she's like, this is the most awesome thing ever. I'm like, that's just what I do. And it's like, but the thing is, people go in, you will never be able to spend enough money to make a stripper think, oh, God, that guy's rich. She makes more money a night than you get a month. So don't kid yourself.
So it's not the money, it's the fame?
Well, I don't know. It's like, how do people, like, how would a man react to dating a stripper who, even if she was like loyal and stuff, brought in all the money? How does society teach us that makes you feel as a man?
As a young man, I wouldn't have liked it. As at the age I'm at now,
you're like, oh shit,
that would be so dope. That would be so dope because I could work the back end. Yeah, I could maneuver the money.
Where if she's like, I don't care what job you have as long as you have insurance. You know, at our age, it's more like, that's awesome. Let's be a team.
Let's be a team.
I trust
let's get
you. You trust me.
Let's get you this.
Yeah.
Let's get you all these other ways to make money, to monetize what you're doing.
Exactly. But like you said, when you're in your 20s, you're like
no,
oh, I see that. I want that. I'm going to.
And that's mine. No
I brought my
else,
$800 paycheck and I'm going to spend every penny
of it.
I don't know. That still makes me think of going to Emerald and the angry stripper, where it's like she talked me into getting money out, and
I do remember that.
And I remember because you were like, "Hey, you got $20?"
Yeah, yeah. That's back when I didn't have a card. I didn't used to use a card.
We went with
at all.
Craig.
Yeah, we went with Craig. Yeah,
and I remember. And it's like, so she walked me over to the ATM, and I was like, "This is all the money I got." And she took all my money, and I was like, that's all I got. And I just sat there, and this woman sat next to me angry the whole time, because I remember she just had this look like she thought as soon as she walked away, I was just going to go get more money and get a different stripper. So at least a half hour, an hour, she sat there like tapping her foot. And I'm like, I ain't got no money. I don't know. I don't know. I paid my cover. I'm going to see what I can see for free now.
That's funny.
But... I mean, going back to things, just treat people the way you want to be treated, I guess. And
that's what it is. Communicate, I think, is huge, man. You gotta let people know what you don't like, and just tell them up front, man. If someone approaches you saying something you don't like, man, just tell them, hey, man, I ain't really into that. Let's keep it moving. And I've noticed as I've gotten adult, man, and I really like where we live in the world, is because if I don't like you, if I don't fool with you, I just don't fool with you. It's not that we enemies or we gotta be beefing, but like when I see you, hey Jason, and then I just keep it moving. You know, it's not a problem.
I've had this discussion with my mom, like, you know, because we talk about politics and race and stuff, which I'm sure that's great. Just two white people talking to each other about race. That gets a lot done. Right. But I'm like, you know, because she still has the impression that people in the South are more prejudiced than in the North. And I'm like, no, I think everybody is equal, but I think maybe in the South, like, you grow up knowing this is how it is. Yes. So this clique stays with this clique. We stay with it here. It's okay for me to socialize if I'm the athlete, or if I'm going to be the next big thing.
If I make enough money.
If I'm a good one. You know,
Yeah.
exactly. It's like there's backlash, though, if I do that, be the sellout.
Yeah. So I lose this crowd, and then I never had that crowd. So now
I'm a loner. So what do I do?
Yeah.
But like I said, I was like, I think it's just, like I said, back home, I feel like in the North, they were kind of like, well, and I think maybe it's just an American thing in general, like, well, race is fine. Like, I have a black coworker. Well, how many black friends do you hang out with? Or how many white friends do it's like, we don't intermingle. And it's not necessarily always even a race thing. Sometimes it's a money thing. Sometimes a gender thing. Yeah. Like, we find people that reinforce what we think, usually, and we stick to them. Because we're like, I think that too.
Well, it's a comfort level too.
Yeah.
You got. I use me for an example. You got this guy. Some days my beard looks good. Some days it doesn't. Some days, because I'm really busy, so I don't got time to manicure my face every day.
I don't make that kind of money.
I don't make that kind of money, right? I don't make that kind of money. So some days I'm gonna look different because to me it's not worth the time. I much rather do this than that, And people look, this big black dude looks scary, I don't just keep him, kind of, he's a good guy, but he's also this.
He's
intimidating.
He's not part of our tribe. He's an outsider.
He's an outsider. But then you got flip the script. You got another guy come in, the softer spoken, clean cut, able to get his voice higher or lower or whatever the case may be in the situation. We're comfortable with him.
And also it's probably a survival instinct of I've learned how to adapt, like we've seen before with different things we work with, like different people you can approach different ways.
Right.
Like I'm gonna make contact with a customer. First time I pick up a sense that they're mad, I change what I do and what level of joking around I do with them.
Right.
Or do they seem in a hurry? Well, okay, then I'd stop my chit chat.
Yeah.
Do they have all day to talk and I got nothing better to do? I will make this take as long, and I think I've said that before at customers, like, I will make this take as long as you want me to take. You determine the level of contact you want to have with us, because I'm gonna be here all day anyway.
And I was a little bit different. I was a straight shooter. Hey, if you're mad, if you want me to help you, you need to settle down a little bit. Just relax, or you can be mad and I'm here till 5.
Yeah.
Or 10, or whatever the case
Yeah.
may be. We can sit here all day and nothing will get done. Or you be nice to me, we can fix it right away. So, but yeah, man, that's really cool, man. So, I don't want to keep you all day. So
I got, like I said, if you're on the wrong road in life, why run? You know, that's what
wow. So what do you mean by that, man?
What do you mean? Well,
I know it's self-explanatory.
Well, you know, people are kind of like, well, I should be. Oh, it kills. As I get older, I feel like more self-conscious about the lack of normal things I've done. Like, I go, you know, I tell people, I'm like, oh yeah, single dad with twins. They're like, oh, how long you been divorced? I'm like, well, I've never been married. Well, when you say that, then there's a presumption that you're a deadbeat dad. I'm like, I do a lot of heavy lifting. I'm like Mr. Mom. I like take my kids to their play dates, to their birthday parties, to do this. You know, like that's what, I don't bring the money to the partnership. I bring everything else. And I think that's the thing. Like, I think some men traditionally feel threatened by it. Like, no, I have to make more than my wife or whatever. And it's like, well, you got to do whatever keeps your family fed, you know?
Man, you said something there, man, because
I didn't think I was ever going to have a family. So it's just a fluke that I've got one.
Wow.
So I'll fight the shit out of anybody that tries to take that from me.
Wow.
I know. You know, like that song says, you know, ain't as good as I once was, you know.
Dude, that's how I heard the older you get, the better you were. But so yeah, man, that's deep. You say that because, man, I deal with that now, man. Because
that's why I've always known you to be like these are your priorities.
Yeah,
yeah. Like I will walk. I remember you walking to work, however far, and it's like I walk to work in busted shoes to get to work on time to get my money to take care of my priorities.
Yeah, and I'm learning as I get older, man. Apparently, where I'm from, I have a pay ceiling. I'm not tall enough. I'm not clean enough. I'm not. You know, because whether or not I know my community thinks I sold out, I'm this sellout. But I really have always been. Have I not been this same guy on and off the clock?
Back that truck up to my house. I will sell out on whatever you want me to sell out.
Well,
you're like, no. I do not endorse this message.
Well, I really don't, man. Yeah. I've always been the same. Because I have an aunt, man, and I remember hearing her change her voice when she was talking to people as a kid. And I was like, why is that ain't what she sound like?
Yeah.
And I got a cousin the same way, you know, when they're talking to somebody, you know, sounds,
they come home in the room, that
sound non-urban.
Yeah.
You know, so
I don't know what that means at all.
Yeah, me neither. But as a kid, I saw this and I was like, I'll never be that. You know, I always talk the same. Now I may clean up the verbiage.
Yeah.
And use my words. But it's still the same slang. It's the same cadence.
Yep.
You know what I'm saying?
Yep.
And I've always been that way. And I realized as I've gotten older that it's going to keep me with this silly. I'm growing, but I'm growing out of my house.
Well, what they're finding or really making an issue, and again, it's kind of, I feel, an interesting time because you have Black Lives Matter, you have Me Too, you have a lot of elements all coming together. And it goes back to a joke Louis C.K. said where he's like, you know, this is a great time to be a white man, but we're coming to a time where it's going to quickly, and it's not going to gradually change. It's going to suddenly stop being great to be white.
And that's the thing. I think you're right because I think Black Lives Matter, and I've always said this, and people, you even got on to me about saying this about Trump, man. I said, Trump, this is the only time I feel like any president has helped my pay scale.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Because, like, I'm not black enough for Black Lives to matter.
Yeah.
And I'm not white enough to endorse Trump.
Yeah.
And then by white enough, I mean financially, I don't make enough money.
Yeah.
You see what I'm saying?
Your dollars don't count.
Yeah.
The same
So
way.
I'm literally in the poor pay scale.
It's one of those things too. Like people have brought up that traditionally blacks tend to be more conservative, church going, conservative. You know, like kind of, and it's like, but the media makes it sound like, if you're not out there being militant, then, you know, like when Joe Biden's like, well, if you vote for Trump, you're not black enough. Well, who does he get? He doesn't get to say that.
So it's funny you say that, man, because I watched, you know, successful black men. They all do change to the Lord church, and their whole verbiage change. Their stat. It looks like they just become old men, and then they become successful. Why do I have to change who I am?
No.
to make money.
But the thing is, they want the world wants you to think that you're alone is what it is, and not realize there's a million people in the same boat you're in or that I'm in. There's lots of people, and people forget too, again with the thing, that right before Dr. King was killed, his next move was going to be for poor. Because he was like, we've talked, he kind of was like, desegregating's not working. There's a lot of economic inequality.
Right.
White poor people and black poor people have more in common than let's say people of either that have more money than others.
And people forget that.
And so, again, you have radical ideas, what happens? You get killed. They did it to Jesus. They killed Jesus.
On that note. Yeah, I mean, radical ideas. That's
now your head's going to like...
Well,
but at least you won't have to remember the missing member of NWA.
Yeah, the DLC,
you solved that.
Yeah, the DLC.
Now the rest of the night you won't be able to get any of this crazy out of your head.
I had to search it, man. But it's crazy you say that, man. It's just crazy you hit on that whole Black Lives Matter thing, because it's just like, I just don't feel like that's going to end well for anyone.
I also kind of feel...
Because I don't think the message is right.
Yeah. I think it's one of those things because I feel like saying Black Lives Matter and that agenda also is treating black people the same way that racists treat them, as like a monolith. Not all black people are equal. Not all, or not, I shouldn't say equal, are the same. So there is no one black voice. There's, Alcoa black voice. There's a Detroit black voice. There's a Iowa.
Back to rap music. Like, you got different slangs coming from each coast.
The other thing too, I was just watching a thing with Trevor Noah, and with stuff going on, it's been interesting. Him coming as an African and seeing how America is turning into the way that like African dictatorships are.
Yeah.
And he was watching this latest interview with Trump where they're like and I think it was on Fox, and the woman's like, well, what do you say about all these, blacks that are being killed by police? And what's Trump's response? More white people are being killed. So, okay, if we strip away race, then we've got police just killing people, and that should be an issue.
Well, it's all... being a salesman, it's all in how you title something.
Yes.
If I'm trying to sell you insurance and the person knows I'm trying to sell you insurance, if I want to add protection on top of that insurance that you came in to purchase, then I probably need to phrase it with a different title on something that you can relate to.
On a side hustle after our previous work together, the one that I went with our mutual friend when I went there, the whole secret was, and it was at the other place too, bundle it together and go, here's all the bullet points of how you're good, and here's just a number. Yeah. I'm not, because people's brains will shut off when you go, this number plus this number plus this number, and they're like, well, I don't need that.
Too much. And that's what you get. That's why I said Black Lives Matter is just bad, because I get what they're saying, but whenever you give it a title, you're going to have an opinion.
Yeah.
And I'm going to read Black Lives Matter different than you're going to read Black Lives Matter, just like my black neighbor's going to read it different. My white neighbor, my African neighbor, my Asian neighbor, my Puerto Rican neighbor.
And somebody is always out to get political gold out of it on both sides.
There you go. But Black lives do matter, white lives matter, Asian lives matter, all lives matter. Black lives...
Except purple people. Purple people don't got it.
Well, we ain't met them yet, but they matter. And the thing is this, man. The thing is this, and I'm going to end it on this, man. Black lives do matter, man, and I really do hope that everybody gets equality, because I am black, believe it or not, right? So it's I do want equality, but I'm old enough to know that we're gonna have to come in the back door. We're gonna have to sneak a blow. Like you show them the left and stick them with the right. You're gonna have to take the sign off the door.
And I think the thing is, people need to have just ugly conversations. I'm glad you're having conversations with all kinds of people. Exactly. Because, people see things different. And it's, there are 300 something million voices in this country.
There you go. So. But, yeah, man, I appreciate you coming on, man.
I can do this all day, every day.
Man.
So.
Hey, that's the goal, man. That's the goal, to do this all day, every day. And then we can have longer conversations, because people will actually watch and tune in. Yeah. Yeah, man, it was really fun to have you on, man. We'll have to do it again. I really want to hear your points on some stuff that's probably coming up soon. And we'll rap about it.
Maybe we should make a list.
Yeah, and I hope you learned something from this, man. Because I know I learned a couple of things, man. It isn't we gotta leave that media alone, man. Quit letting the media control what we think and what we do and everything. Right is right, wrong is wrong, and let's just stick to that, man. I really wish we could just all agree on right is right. That's the one thing I respect about my grandparents and your grandparents is that really right was right. They saw color, yes, but right was right and wrong was wrong. And
murdering is murdering.
Yeah, they didn't really. I mean, I say that, but it really wasn't. We're never gonna get there, so we're gonna have to let's go for that. Let's go for right is right, wrong is wrong.
With how you've always been on the grind, the thing is, it's not necessarily meeting the destination, but trying to be your best self.
But try to be your best self, man. Black and white can be in the same room.
Who do you want to be? Who do you want to be?
He likes dang insane clown posse. I like Jeezy. It's okay.
I should mention I got poor musical taste, but we already established that.
Nah. They were on with Triple Six Mafia. They dope, man. They good. But anyway, man, this is the hashtag iAMWHOiAM podcast. This is episode 48. Please like, comment, subscribe. I know we touched on a couple heavy topics, and like I said, hope I don't get fired. But if I do, I'm doing what I love, man, and I'm willing to lose everything for what I believe in. So what about you? And that's the whole message of this podcast, man. It's just to do what you want to do, man. Don't waste your time being miserable and hating yourself and hating life. Get out. If you don't like something, change it. And if you don't change it, then you have nobody to blame but yourself. So on that note, man, like I said, like, comment, subscribe, leave me thumbs up, 5 stars, depending on where you're getting it from. We're everywhere. Apple Podcasts, iHeartRadio, YouTube, Spotify, Anchor FM, anywhere you get your podcasts.
Shoot him comments, suggestions, whatever. Interactions.
Yeah, just interactions.
Stuff going.
Let me know.
Yep.
And as always, I'll be back. G.